Okay, so today's session we're looking at balance and stability, okay? So obviously this session is focused at what we class as half and half. So there is going to be a reasonable amount of standing work, so make sure that you have something there to support you, whether it's a chair, a tabletop, your walker, anything like that, just to give you a little bit of extra stability, okay? And those of you that are seated, I will do the best I can to kind of adapt the exercises, but obviously do what you can, all right? Again, if you feel unwell at any point during the session, then please stop, let me know at the end, or seek medical attention. Okay, so we're going to start off with a very gentle warm-up. Okay, so all we're going to do is just start by reaching our arm forward and gently down, and the other side. So we're trying to reach as far as we can. And try and reach a little bit further with each go. You can do one more on each side, and then we're reaching up to the ceiling. Okay, so reach up to the ceiling as high as you can go. So again, we're trying to reach a little bit further with each go. Okay, this time we're going to have our arms into our chest. We're just going to rotate round, back to the middle, and to the other side, back to the middle. Try and keep those feet nice and stable, keep those knees still. We're rotating from our middle, not from our legs. Okay, this time we're going to do a little march, okay, so you might need to shuffle forwards on your chair a little. So we're just going to take one leg up and the opposite arm, and then swap. So we're not marching fast, it's slow and deliberate. If the leg isn't going to lift, then you can just go up onto tiptoes. Try and get some lift. Get those heels off the floor. Okay, good. Alright, just going to circle those shoulders back. So whilst we're doing that, I'm going to give you a little bit of an explanation about what my thoughts are in terms of balance. So when it comes to balance and stability, obviously thinking standing balance in particular, I have a bit of a thing about feet, and I think it's really important to make sure that we mobilise the feet properly for two reasons. So the spiky balls that we have at the centre, I'm a very big fan of, and the reason being, the first one is that it helps mobilise the joints and the soft tissues in the foot, which means that it's more adaptable and adjustable to the surfaces that you can walk on. The second thing is it also stimulates your sensory input. So by stimulating your sensation, that will go all the way up to the brain. There's a representation of the foot on the brain, and then there's a strong link between improved sensation and the potential for improved what we call motor function, which is movement, okay? So if you have a spiky ball at home, get it out, get it under your foot and get it rolling around the bottom of your foot, okay? If you don't have a spiky ball, that's fine. You can use a golf ball or a tennis ball. It won't have quite the same impact, but it will certainly do a little bit to try and help loosen the soft tissue in your feet and also provide some sensory input. Today's session, if you want to do it in bare feet, then please do. I think you'll get a little bit more out of it because of the sensory input from the foot on the floor as opposed to a foot in a shoe. Particularly if you're on a tiled floor or a laminate floor, anything that's not carpet really, make sure that it is bare feet because I don't want you slipping over with socks on a slippy surface. Okay, so we're just going to start by we're going to tilt our pelvis. So you can have your hands resting on your thighs or down by your side. Keep nice and tall through here, and we're just going to sink through our pelvis. So we're essentially rolling through the back of our bottom and then up. Okay, so you can see that my shoulders aren't moving. It's all coming through here. So we're just tucking our pelvis under, pulling our tummy in, and then coming back up. Okay, I'll do a couple to the side for you just so you can see. So we're just sinking through and up. Keep going. Make sure those shoulders are nice and relaxed. You should have a nice long neck. Okay, this time we're going to transfer our weight side to side. So we're coming to one side, lifting the bottom off of this side, and then to the other side, lifting this side off. And as you do this, you should see that the side that you go to lengthens, and the side you're going away from shortens, okay? So you've got a little bit of a shift through the rib cage. So we're not doing this. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep those shoulders nice and level. They don't move down. And we're just moving the weight side to side. Okay, good. So keep that in mind. And what we're going to do now is we're going to shift our bottom to the back of our chair, and then we're going to shift it forwards. So what we'd like to call a bottom shuffle, but as much as possible you're lifting that one side off of the chair before you move. So you can see I'm getting some rotation through my trunk. I'm getting shortening and lengthening through the opposite sides. And this is actually really good for when you're walking, okay? We don't keep a nice rigid frame when we walk. We don't just move our legs forward. There is an element of rotation through our trunk to allow us to do that. So this is a nice way of just incorporating that as an exercise. Okay, we're going to finish there. Make sure you're sat roughly in the middle of the seat. You should have about half of your thigh on your seat and half of it off. Okay, we're going to move on to some back exercises, okay? So it's really important from a balance point of view that we've got a nice strong core. Okay, there are anti-gravity muscles. If they're not working, then we're in a bit of trouble. Okay, so we're going to come down onto your elbows onto your knees. Okay, and you're going to try and bring yourself back up, preferably without using your arms. Okay, if you need to, you can use your arms to support you, just to give you a little bit of a push up. Okay, if you're feeling super brave, you can come all the way down and up. If you're in a wheelchair, make sure your front wheels are pointing forwards, because as you lean forwards, there is a risk that all your weight will go through your foot plates and potentially tip your chair. If your wheels are pointing forwards, you have a nice long wheelbase, and that prevents that from happening. Remember, if you need to stop and rest at any point, feel free to do so. Grab yourself a drink. We'll do 2 more. And last one. Okay, so we're going to move on to some leg exercises and some foot exercises. Okay, so like I said, if you can take your shoes off and your socks off easily, then great. If not, don't worry, you can still do these in your shoes. I'm going to take mine off though. Hopefully it will give you a better view of what I'm doing. Although you might need to zoom a little. Okay, so if I just roll my trousers up for you as well. Okay, so hopefully you've got a view of my feet there. Okay, so all we're going to do to start off with is just lifting our heels off the floor. So if I come sideways on, we're just lifting through there. Okay, we're going to change it up a little bit. Okay, so this time we're going to try and keep our heels on the floor, but just raise our toes up. Now I know this one is really difficult for a lot of you, especially if you've got a drop foot. Remember, imagery, mental imagery is just as important as doing the exercise. Okay, so if that foot's not, if one of the feet aren't working but the other one is, just really focus on the one that is, thinking that the other one is joining in. If you want to make it a little bit easier, now I know some of you are tight through your ankles, what you can do is just take your feet forward slightly and then lift. So you can see there, I get a much bigger lift than if my feet are back here. Okay, so we're going to mix it up again, but we're going to do a little bit of coordination as well. Okay, so we're going to lift one foot up through the toes and lift one, keep one heel on the floor. So we're going to have one up, one down, and then we're going to swap. I have had a shower this morning, so my feet aren't stinky. Be grateful we're doing this on Zoom and not in the centre. Okay, good. And we're gonna give our feet a little bit of a stretch the other way. So we're going to put our toes onto the floor. And we're just going to have a little bit of a stretch through the front of our leg, our shin. So you should feel a stretch through here. It's very easy to forget about the impact that our feet have when it comes to standing and walking. Because we're so focused on the fact that our legs don't move the way that we want them to, or we're a bit wobbly and things like that. But actually, if we can improve the flexibility of our foot, then it will improve what we call proprioception, and that sends a lot of signals back to the brain about where your body is in relation to your feet, and then hopefully it will improve your balance. We're going to swap feet, so tuck those toes under, get a nice stretch going down the front of that shin and into the ankle. Toes play a really important part as well in both standing balance and walking. So they help us kind of grip the floor and adjust our balance as we need to. And when we're walking, obviously they give us that, we use a rocker motion, so we go from heel through to toe to get that push off. Okay, so again we need the flexibility within our toes, and if we've got the function within them, then that will make life a lot easier as well. Okay, so taking that into consideration, we're just going to lift our big toes off the floor. Keep all the other toes on the floor, just wanting the big toes to lift up. A really good exercise you can try at home is picking things off of the floor with your feet. So whether it's tissue paper, somebody suggested marbles, I'm not sure what a good idea that would be. Don't want you losing them and then tripping over them at a later date. But something small that you can grip in between your toes or underneath your toes It's a really good exercise to keep those feet going. Okay, one more. Okay, then we're going to keep our big toes on the floor and we're just going to lift the rest of our toes off of the ground. So we should at some point be able to isolate our big toes from our other toes. Again, I know this is really difficult for a lot of you, so really think about that mental imagery side of things. Okay, so last exercise we're going to do with the feet now. We're just going to scrunch our toes up and then out. Up and out. So you can do all of this within your shoes. Obviously, if I had my shoes on, you wouldn't have a clue what I was asking you to do. And this is a good one. Get some tissue paper under your toes and then see how much you can scrunch up. Couple more. Okay, we're going to move into some standing exercises now. So those of you that are sitting and aren't able to stand, what I'd like you to do is just try and move yourself away from the back of your chair so that you're not using your chair for support, you're using these postural muscles, okay? And all of the exercises to start off with, you should be able to do in sitting. Excuse me. So standing up, use your chair, your tabletop, your rollator, whatever it is to help you support. You're going to stand with your feet about hip width apart, okay, and all you're going to do is just hover your hands off of your support, okay, keeping your hands close to it if you need it. We're just going to hover. Now when we do this, I don't want your legs locking back. I want soft knees, okay? And what you should feel is when you have soft knees, you should feel slight, what we call perturbations going through the ankles, okay? This is your ankle strategy. This is your first line of defense when it comes to balance, okay? So this is why it's so important that the foot is nice and mobile and as stimulated as possible, okay, because that's our first line of defence. We then move up to our hip strategy. Now this is, if you've ever watched gymnasts or people balancing on tight ropes or things like that, when they lose their balance, they do a big movement and often they do this sort of thing. So they stick their bottom out and they're trying to adjust their centre of gravity, okay? Now, at that point, that's quite a drastic alteration to make, okay? So we're trying to stick with this ankle strategy if we can, but our hip strategy will come in second. Okay, so what I'm going to get you to do now is if you're feeling quite balanced here, those of you that are sitting, making sure you're sitting nice and tall without resting your arms or your hands on anything, okay? So just have them either out to the side, out in front of you, just so that you're not using those to support you, okay? So those of you that are standing, I want you to just bring your feet in very slightly, okay? So we're just going to do a little adjustment of our feet. So our feet are now slightly closer together. Remember, keep those knees soft and we're going to continue balancing. Hover those hands above that support, okay? We've made our base of support narrower, which means it's harder to balance. You can probably get an idea of where I'm going with all of this and what I'm going to be getting you to do by the end of it. So if you can feel your legs shaking a little bit, that's okay. It means they're working a little bit. If you do need to sit down and rest at any time, then please do so, okay? You can join in once you've had a little rest. Okay, now if you're feeling brave, I want you to move your arms in front of you. Make sure your balance, your support is there by you if you need it. And we're just going to take our arms out to the side and then back to the middle, okay? So we're adding a little bit of dynamic movement, which means that we have to use our balance centres a lot more. You'll probably feel those ankles are working a little bit harder. That's all good. It's what we want. Okay, we're going to change the arm slightly, so we're going to take one arm up and then down, and the other arm up and down. So it should feel a little bit of a challenge, but not too difficult that you're not able to participate. Those of you that are sitting, again, make sure that you're not leaning against the backrest. Get those arms moving. You're going to be working those core muscles, those postural muscles, and it's all good for your sitting balance. If you've got good sitting balance, then that allows you to do more with your upper body and be more functional. Okay, take your arms back to your support. Okay, if you need to sit down and rest, please do. Okay, we're going to move on to the next exercise. Join us when you can. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to use our support, and we're just going to take the weight off of the one leg. Okay, whether that's lifting the leg like this or just leaving your toes on the floor. Okay, what we want is that supporting leg to be doing all of the work. All right. If you're able to lift your leg, just take it up slowly and then take it down just to the toes, up slowly and down to the toes. If you're using your toes to help you with your balance, just hold it there. Okay, we're going to swap legs. So take the weight onto the other leg, lift the heel off of the floor. Okay, and if you can lift, then great. If you don't need to use your support to help you, then just hover your hand above it. Don't know how good your eyesight is, but my right ankle has really kicked in. This is my worst leg for my balance. Lots of ankle injuries, playing netball. It's all affected my range of movement in my ankle and my proprioception. So I need to work a lot harder on it. Make sure you're using those core muscles as well. So you should be pulling those tummies in, squeezing those bottoms. It will all contribute to improving your balance. And remember, make sure that that supporting leg has a soft knee. It shouldn't be locked. 2 more. And last one. Good, well done. Okay, so last exercise in standing. Okay, again, you've got your support there. I want you to take your foot and try The aim is to get heel to toe. Okay, so you probably can't see there. So if I come this side. So we're going to step our foot heel to toe on the other side, in front of the other foot, okay? If you can't do that, that's fine. Just step your foot as far beyond that foot as possible. If you can get that foot beyond the toes of that back foot, then you're aiming to get to here, okay? Once you're there, if you can balance without holding on, great. This is a really hard balance. Those of you that have done the Berg balance will know it's one of the highest difficulties for the test. And actually, from my experience, this is one that a lot of people really struggle with. You've got a really, really narrow base of support. You're basically on a beam or a tightrope. Both of my ankles are going absolutely mental, trying to maintain my balance. Okay, step back, okay? And you're going to do the same with the other leg. So if you can step forwards, great. If you can only step a little way, that's absolutely fine. If you can get heel to toe, wonderful. And we're just going to balance there. Okay, good, and step back and sit down. Okay, so we are just going to finish off with a little stretch. Okay, you'll probably feel like you're not going to feel out of breath like you did last week, but you will probably notice that your muscles will feel it later. Okay, they've done quite a lot of work, potentially work that they're not used to doing as well. Okay, so it's really important that we do get a stretch as well. So we're just going to sit with one leg out in front of us, rest our hands on the bent knee, keep our back straight and lean forward. So we're stretching through the back of the thigh. And we're going to swap sides. Good. Okay, and take one arm across the body, give it a push. And to the other side. Take one arm up above our head and then behind. Going to use the other arm to gently push it down. And swap. And take the head to the side. And to the other side. Look over our shoulder. And to the other shoulder. Give those shoulders a circle back. And we are done. Well done, everybody. So a lot of these exercises you can practice at home. Make sure if you do it in a safe environment. If you need somebody with you, make sure that you've got somebody to support you as needed. Okay, take care and we'll see you again next time.